Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us. My name is Jessie Jim, and I am the NAPS field coordinator. So, our gardening with senior centers um, webinar will be presented by our NAPS assistant field coordinator, Sharon Sandman, and COPE Project food system specialist, Carole Palmer.
To everybody, this is Carole Palmer with the COPE program. My title is Food System Specialist, and I'm one of the partners that works with the NAPS program to support these projects. And so this is something that we all wanted to make sure that people are aware of, that the Navajo Nation Department of Agriculture is currently offering this Farm and Garden Incentive Program. And so this is something that can be applied for online, or not online, but the applications are available online, or you could also contact one of the NAPS coordinators here and they can supply you with that. But this is something that can support gardens at senior centers as well. So it's something to think about as you're considering what kind of program and project you might want to put into place at the senior center. And it's also something meant for individuals, families, so lots of possibilities and a really great opportunity.
Thank you, Carole. Okay, we will start off with the new 5A day, 5 health benefits of gardening for seniors and caregivers. Number 1 equals improved immune system. There is friendly bacteria in garden soil that can help with symptoms of allergies, asthma, paralysis, psoriasis, and depression. So when you go out into your garden, always like get your hands into the soil, look at your soil, see if it looks healthy or not. But the best way to find out would be to test your soil with a soil tester. Number 2, it relieves stress and anxiety. Gardening can lower cortisol levels in your brain. Cortisol is also known as the stress hormone. When there is too much cortisol, a person's blood pressure and glucose levels may go up and down. Number 3, reduce risk of dementia. Gardening requires people to help and to use their hands, maintain motor skills, improve endurance and strength. Number 4, good exercise. Studies show that even a little bit of exercise can help slow down the aging process, like stretching before and after. Spending time in the garden helps muscles stay flexible. And number 5, improve your mood. Fresh air and sunshine rise serotonin levels. Serotonin is a chemical produced by the body that makes you feel calm and centered. Remember to wear a hat and sunglasses if the sun is really hot. Indi na away tla. Wake up, drink some water, coffee. Things to think about when planning and planting. Garden purpose, access, shade, shelter, sunlight, water, soil, surrounding environment, noise, fencing, wind. Security would be like to help from vandalism, animals, and easy to see. This is a garden in Mexican Springs Senior Center. They had worked very hard to get this garden set up. All the staff there had with the help of the maintenance in the chapter, had pounded in all these T-posts and put in the chicken wire to keep out rodents, and then also the fencing. I believe it was a 5-foot fencing that was put into the ground to make it about 4 feet. But this garden was put in by the staff. Their ability to plant for the elders and to at least get some of the elders out to do a little exercise. So this is an idea for all the senior centers out there that would like to construct their own garden. One option, go big with a fenced garden. If you have space, it will grow. So here we have the corn that has grown out, and according to the slow drip line system, we tried to make space in between for the corn to grow. So that spacer is, I believe, really close. So we had to skip each hole on that slow drip line system, because the drip line system already has holes in it. So you don't have to puncture the hose to put in adapters. And here is the material list pricing for the 20 by 30 fence garden space, which we have there at Mexican Springs Garden. So the list consists of 7-foot T-posts, which was changed to 5-foot. Okay, so just to give you an idea, this is the material list for your senior centers. And then this is the list for the 40 by 40 fence garden space. I brought you a flower, but I ate it. You'll have to consider all the predators around your garden and the area that you are planting. Like for instance, my garden at home, I have gophers. So, I didn't realize we had gophers. I never saw anything outside, but you can't really see them because they have tunnels in the ground. So these gophers can go underneath the chicken wire and your fencing and still get to your garden. So be aware and look out for mounds that are happening around your home area, or even around the senior center if you decide to put in a garden there. Also, there are prairie dogs that are always watching to see what's going on, or if you're planting anything. So those are our predators. Okay, raised bed is an option. There are different types of raised beds that you can put into your garden. If you can't bend down, too far down, this just depends on what height you would like your raised garden beds. So here is one option you can go with, and then there are several. Okay. Benefits of raised bed gardens: can be made tall, short, or in between for easy access. Use what you already have on hand. Recycle materials to create your garden. Can be built on top of existing soil or even on top of cement or asphalt. Best access if not very wide, 40 inches. Easily fitted with options such as trellis, shade cloth, and frost protection. So here's one that has wheels. They built it and it has wheels so you can maneuver it around and, plant herbs or whatever you decide to plant in these raised beds. Here is another one, pallets lined with weed barrier fabric to hold the soil. So there are different ways you could use pallets. There's pallets everywhere. You know, always ask before you take from a supermarket though. So here's another idea. Think outside the box. Scrap lumber, corrugated metal roofing placed on old tires for stability to hold the weight of the soil. So, you know, there's always different ways you could build a raised bed out of just scrap metal tires, you know, setting that metal on top of a tire and then filling the box with soil, and that way you don't have to bend if you can't bend or if you have bad knees. So this is an idea for our elders. And the gophers and the prairie dogs cannot get into this. So, you know, that it's a good option. Old drawers topped with hardware cloth to keep critters out. So these are old drawers. I guess they're dresser drawers. And, you know, you could just top it off by putting the wire on top to protect it. And also these boxes, the predators cannot get into this. So that's another option. It's, you know, if you have an old dresser, just turn it into a raised bed. And it doesn't always have to be a box. So here we have some triangle boxes filled with soil. You know, you could put tomatoes in it, and also maybe herbs, onions, peppers, whatever you feel like is your favorite. Maybe a pico de gallo bed, you know, chili and tomatoes and lettuce and whatever you decide, you know, you can plant in those boxes. Recycle a container garden can be made from almost anything. This is a great idea. It's a flower in a container put into an old washing machine. So, you know, just anything around your house could be a flower bed. But make sure that there's no chemicals used in these containers that can contaminate your vegetable. Always use your common sense to see what is good for a vegetable bed. You can create a garden with milk crates lined and old PVC. So here this PVC pipe has holes in it, and I believe they planted strawberries. You can plant strawberries in those. Just fill it up with soil and then stick your strawberry plants into this PVC pipe. And then you have the old milk crates that you can use also as a raised bed. So there's just always different ways and ideas to make raised beds in your garden. Stack an assortment of containers for easy access. So here are metal buckets and tubs, and fill those up with soil, and, you know, plant your herbs, or, you know, you can plant anything, that all your favorite vegetables you can plant in those containers. Plant a salad in a sterilite. So here is a tub with soil, and then there in the corner you see at your right hand side probably a PVC pipe with holes in it, so that when you fill that up with water, it'll distribute into your soil. So here's another idea. And you can take your garden on the road. This vehicle here has a garden bed in back of its truck with a little hoop house. So, there's just so many different ways of planting, but I'm not sure I would do that in my back of my truck, but that's just an idea. Okay, gardening is medicine that does not need a prescription and has no limit on dosage. So gardening is something that helped me get through a lot of my depression, especially in this last year with the COVID. Just building a garden at home and getting through this COVID has really helped me. So I know that gardening is a good way to cope with whatever is happening in your life. Just setting your mind on the soil and getting your hands dirty, and just being able to go out and grow your own vegetables, because at the time, we weren't really able to go anywhere. We were in lockdown. So, growing my own vegetables was very helpful. Okay, here is the drip line at Mexican Springs Garden at the senior center. Now you know what I mean about the holes already being inside the tubing. So that's how far space apart your seedlings would be, and would be getting water. And it's not like rolling anywhere else but just in that one spot, and that's what keeps your irrigation, you know your vegetables watered, so you're not wasting water. It's just all in one area. And then over to your left, there's a tree there with a PVC pipe that has holes in it. And this is how you can water your trees, by digging a PVC pipe, the dirt, and then fitting a PVC pipe in there next to your tree roots, and then watering it. And then over to your right is another option, is putting a pot, maybe with holes on the sides, that will also water the plants around it. So there are different ways of irrigation and watering your garden with a slow drip line system. You can also connect your rainwater harvesting water to these slow drip line system and water your plants. Water is the most important element in life, because without it, you can't make coffee. Yeah, and thank you for joining us today. We welcome your comments so that we may continue to provide resources of interest to you. We will continue to host educational webinars and post information on Facebook related to upcoming garden-related events, including newsletters, videos, and links to USDA resources. Find us on Native American Producer Success Projects, NAPS, Facebook, YouTube, and monthly newsletters. You can contact us here, myself, Sharon Sandman, Assistant Field Coordinator, Jesse Jim, Field Coordinator, and Jenna Johnson, Technical Media Coordinator. If you have any questions, you can ask. We are here to answer your questions. Thank you. Do we have any questions?
I have a question for you, Sharon. As far as when you're doing the raised beds, what kind of soil do you use? I know there's a lot. on the market, but which ones do you recommend?
The raised beds that we have put together, we use the soil, the earth there around your garden, mixed in with some composting. Mixed in also with that would be the good option from what I was told is sheep manure. And we've been using sheep manure and also steer manure in some of these raised beds, along with vermiculite to hold the water. It's just optional if you use that. But usually you just, what I do is just mix in the soil that's there in your garden along with some compost for more like a healthy nutrient. I usually use the mushroom compost.
Okay, and then as far as the steer and sheep manure, do you take it straight from the corral or do you want to let it age?
Usually the age sheep manure, we don't have sheep anymore, and so the manure is not available. So our relatives, some of them still have sheep, so that we'll go over to their homes and load up a truckload full of sheep manure that is aged.
Okay, thank you, Sharon.
And usually at least 3 or 6 months old, that sheep manure has to be.
Okay, I have another question. I know you showed for the drip irrigation how you had that PVC pipe going in the ground. Do you ever have problems with it clogging with dirt, or do you just take it out, clean it, and then put it back?
Usually with something like that, it's good to put something on top of it, like a rock or a upside down mug, something that'll fit over it, because you don't want dirt blowing into it or a lizard to go down it or something, or bugs. You should cap it somehow, but it lets the water go down deeper.
Okay.
Then you could use that with any plants, not just with their trees, but a lot of people have fruit trees and they're not sure how to water them. And so it's just one way to help make sure that the water is getting down deeper, especially if there's clay with the soil.
Right. And so what's the diameter of the PVC pipe? The 2-inch?
I don't think it would matter, whatever you had available. That's why there's also, like Sharon showed the picture of the pot, something with holes that are deeper helps the water go deeper. So, I mean, a 1/2 inch PVC would be silly, but anything bigger than 1 inch would be better than nothing.
Right. Right.
So
No, you're right. Okay.
I've used
Okay.
gallon
That was my
bottles
last
also,
question.
it just depends on the size of the plants you're trying to water. I think where people also have challenges is they think they need to water right up by the tree, and that picture was kind of not quite. I mean, when it's a small tree, you can be up close to it, but a bigger tree, you want to be out farther. So it would helps people to recognize where the rainwater naturally falls for plants, and to put those kinds of watering assistance farther out, not right up next to the trunk. But it works good even with tomato plants or pepper plants or corn or squash, anything.
Okay. We do have another question. When's the best time to plant in this area? Seed directly into the garden and starter plant?
Well, usually you wait for the last frost, but with this climate change, you can still plant, like usually I plant like the middle part of May. And when the plants are coming up and the weather report says that we're going to have a last frost, or there's going to be rain or snow, when you cover you can cover your plants with a shade cloth, a sheet. I covered my plants last year when we had the snow in June. I covered my plants with a sheet, and with curtains that I wasn't using, just to keep them from freezing. So it's always best to, listen or check the weather, like last part of May and June. But the best time to plant, some people are already planting, but I usually don't plant until like the middle of May.
Okay, great.
Also, I forgot to mention, record keeping is always important. Mark the date that you planted. And also watering, have a watering system, records of when you should water. Some plants take more water, some plants take less. So you just knowing if you're gonna use packaged seeds, there's always instructions, you know, in back of the seeds on how much water, to use. And then also it'll give you the date when, like, maybe 120 days for it to be harvest. And 90 days, some go from 60 to 90 to 120, just depends on what you plant. So record keeping is always important.
Thank you, Sharon.
Any more questions?
I think you had pretty much answered what everybody is asking. Thanks, Sharon and Carole.
Okay, thank you. Happy planting season. I hope you have a good harvest.
The Native American Producers Success Project is or NAPS project in short, is a collaborative effort between Dene Inc., a nonprofit organization, the New Mexico State University Cooperative Extension Services, and Dene College Land Grant Office. This project is being funded by USDA's Office of Partnership and Public Engagement and the Outreach and Assistance for Socially Disadvantaged and Veteran Farmers and Ranchers program. The NAPS field staff consists of myself, Jesse Jim, and our assistant field coordinator, Sharon Sandman, and our technology media coordinator, Jenna Johnson. The overall goal of the NAPS project is to increase the profitability and long-term sustainability of Navajo farmers and ranchers. To help us achieve this goal, there are some activities that we are currently providing in 4 key areas, which include improving Navajo farm and ranch operations through a series of workshops focusing on crop-related topics and livestock-related topics. We are also increasing our Navajo farmers and ranchers' knowledge of and access to available programs and technical assistance provided by USDA, BIA, Navajo Nation, New Mexico State University Cooperative Extension Services, Dene College Land Grant Office, and other professionals. We are also strengthening the organizational capacity of the Navajo Farmer and Rancher Congress to address the current and future needs of Navajo farmers and ranchers. If you are interested in being part of the Congress, please contact us. And last but not least, facilitating Navajo farmers and ranchers' use of USDA programs such as NRCS, FSA, and RMA programs.